Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to God Zombies HQ. Right now is probably one of the most exciting times to be a Call of Duty Zombies fan, where we just received two major pieces of COD Zombies content in the form of Firebase Z and the new Outbreak game mode, releasing within a relatively short time of each other. But looking forward from this point is just as exciting, because for the first time ever, Treyarch has actually spoken openly about some of the new Zombies content they intend to add into the game very soon. And beyond that, the release of Firebase Z itself and the revelation that the next map is likely to be set in Berlin lends even more credibility to leaks we've received about Cold War Zombies that indicate that this upcoming content could take the form of both a Kino der Toten remake and bringing back the map layout and location of Tranzit. So let's go ahead and start by looking at the content that Treyarch has already revealed that we're going to be getting in the future, and then dig into the details of the leaked content right after. So first off, when the Outbreak game mode released at the beginning of Season 2, Treyarch immediately came out and announced to the community that they will be expanding on the mode in the future. Now this takes two forms. The first is Treyarch announcing that they will be adding a main Easter egg into the Outbreak game mode itself at the release of Season 3 for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Currently within the Outbreak mode, there are only a few side Easter eggs to find here and there, like this radio here that plays music from the Black Ops 2 Zombies map Die Rise, possibly a tongue-in-cheek reference to the Zombies community's attempts to try to get Treyarch to remaster that map, as well as the jump scare ghost from Die Maschine making its appearance in several locations on the Outbreak maps in order to scare the heck out of players once again, while also giving us the chance to actually earn some loot and rewards out of game if you're able to take this ghost down very quickly. But obviously beyond that, at least from what's been found now, there isn't any kind of major Easter eggs associated with the Outbreak mode, which is obviously an on-purpose decision from Treyarch. It almost feels like the version of Outbreak that was released at the beginning of Season 2 is almost the beta version, the bare bones, flat version that they just threw out there to see if this open world zombies concept is something that the community will actually like and enjoy playing. And with the release of Season 3, we get to see how Treyarch will craft a zombies main Easter egg set in kind of a open world zombies environment. Now, we can kind of guess some details about this Easter egg itself, as Treyarch has recently announced that their philosophy on how main Easter eggs should work in COD Zombies games has changed drastically, especially since the maps of Black Ops 4, where before there was much more emphasis on difficulty and obscurity of the actual steps to main Easter eggs. Since Cold War Zombies, Treyarch has embarked on a new philosophy of making Easter eggs both easy and accessible, by making steps that a majority of the player base can actually complete and find fairly easily. Bringing this philosophy forward to the Outbreak game mode, I think we can say pretty definitively that this Easter egg won't be especially difficult, and that when it does release at the start of Season 3, there won't be like a 24-hour or 3-day Easter egg hunt trying to find the steps to this thing. It'll likely be solved within an hour or two of it releasing to the Zombies community, just as Firebase Z's and Die Maschine's Easter eggs were. But I think even more interesting than the Easter egg itself is the map itself in which this Easter egg will be played, because Treyarch didn't only announce that they'll be releasing a main Easter egg at the start of Season 3, but they also revealed that a new map is coming to the Outbreak game mode that is built from the ground up for and exclusively to the Outbreak game mode, where if you didn't know, the three maps that we currently have for the Outbreak game mode, Alpine, Ruka, and Golova, are all ported Fireteam maps from Cold War's multiplayer. Which is why if you played these Outbreak maps and noticed, well, there isn't really any zombies theming or anything going on here, that's the reason that these maps were never intended to be actually used in the Zombies game mode, and that the ambition and Treyarch of trying to release this thing is the only reason we're actually seeing these maps used in Zombies. But that obviously is going to change with the release of Season 3, and while Treyarch was seeming their unusual chatty selves about announcing that a Zombies exclusive Fireteam map and main Easter egg were coming with Season 3, they were very tight-lipped on the details of what exactly that new map will consist of. So where Treyarch is quiet, we can go ahead and turn to the leaks to try to find out more. So if you're around and following Zombies news just prior to the release of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, there was a series of major leaks that appeared on Reddit that looked to reveal details of content that would be both in Cold War Zombies when it launched and coming as DLC in the future. For example, this is the reason we knew about some of the names of the field upgrades that would be appearing in Cold War, some of the perks that would be added into the game before any of them were actually confirmed or shown off, and it's the reason that we knew Firebase Z would be the name of the first DLC Zombies map even before the game was released, which is very important to bring up because it seems to confirm the general credibility of these leaks themselves, that this isn't just crazy made up information, someone actually somehow dropped some inside information here. Though granted, when talking anything about leaks, we always have to keep the caveat in our minds that even though contents of other details in the leak have been proven credible, plans at Treyarch themselves can always change, that ideas can be swapped around and modified, so while the leaks reveal what is likely coming, we can't 100% confirm anything until Treyarch releases the details themselves, and where it specifically relates to the details of the Zombies Outbreak map that's going to be releasing at the start of Season 3. You might have heard amongst your friends or even some discussions within the COD Zombies community that this new Outbreak map will be based around Tranzit. But where did that idea come from? It just seems kind of out of left field, right? Well, it turns out that the idea itself originated from the same leak that told us Firebase Z would be DLC 1, that hooked the excitement and imagination of the Zombies community with the simple line that Tranzit won't be there at launch, obviously implying to the absolute confusion of the Zombies community at its release as to how or why a map like Tranzit would be remade here in Cold War. But with the release of the Outbreak mode, it starts to make a little bit more sense now, doesn't it? Where the concept of Tranzit itself almost feels like a prototype version of the Outbreak mode itself, with Tranzit almost feeling like the closest Treyarch has come to releasing a semi-open world Zombies environment, with a huge map and lots of ground to traverse between areas. Now, at the release of Black Ops 2, unfortunately, that concept didn't really work that well, that while you might view Tranzit right now with rose-tinted glasses, the majority of players, including myself, still see as kind of just a tedious mess. But when you slightly change the formula of Zombies, as Outbreak has done, from making it simply survival-based to making it more of an objective-based game mode, Tranzit starts to make a whole lot more sense, giving you actual reasons to continuously travel through the map trying to reach certain objectives. Now, if Treyarch is going to be theming this Outbreak map around the layout and style of the original Tranzit, it obviously is going to be very different, where in this universe Richtofen didn't go ahead and nuke the Earth, so the pools of flowing lava that players know and love in Tranzit probably won't be there if it releases in the Cold War version. I would also look at Treyarch to continue their themes to make the maps a little bit less difficult in Cold War by taking out some of the more tedious and annoying features of the original Tranzit, things like the amount of fog between areas, and of course, who can forget about the annoyance that are denizens, where I would imagine that in this new version of Tranzit in the Outbreak mode, you're likely able to run and drive between areas without having to get instantly swarmed by denizens. Though speaking of driving, while our faithful bus driver buddy Ted doesn't exist in the Cold War Zombies universe, I wouldn't put it past Treyarch to see the iconic Tranzit bus return, but rather than get driven around inside of it, players would hopefully be able to actually drive the bus itself, just like other vehicles that we're able to use in the Outbreak mode. While the Zombies team at Treyarch has changed a lot over the years, with Jimmy Zielinski still being the Zombies lead when Tranzit released, transferring that title to Jason Blundell at the end of Black Ops 2, where midway through of Black Ops 4, that leadership seems to be now being more held by a consortium of people like Craig Smith and Corky Lemcool. I can see Treyarch remaking Tranzit as almost a way for them to revisit their kind of mistakes of the past, and to recognize and realize the full potential of something like Tranzit that they simply couldn't do due to hardware confinements at the time that Tranzit was originally released back on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. And remember, if this new Fireteam map is indeed going to be Tranzit, it will likely be the location for most, if not all, of the steps for the Outbreak main Easter egg that's going to be added along with it, where just like revisiting Nachter und Toten in Die Maschine called back to some lore and ideas of the Ether storyline, though Treyarch has confirmed that the main characters, Primus and Ultimus of those storyline, their stories are over, returning to Tranzit does call back to the Victus crew that the end of the original Ether storyline remains trapped within the Dark Ether, a concept that we have actually seen in-game for the first time here in Cold War. So perhaps we could see a slight blending of those universes as part of this Easter egg, but who knows at this point, right? To be entirely honest with you guys, it's genuinely surprising to me, after covering Treyarch Zombies very extensively for many years now, that when Outbreak was released, Treyarch was bullish enough to not only announce new content for it, but also going on to say that if the mode is successful, they would consider seeing Outbreak as a standard game mode beside the regular zombie survival going forward into new Call of Duty games, even beyond Black Ops Cold War. While the mode did have what I'll consider to be a successful launch, actual future of this game mode will be determined by whether or not the new Fireteam map releasing in Season 3 and its Easter egg are enjoyed and are popular amongst the Zombies community. Because if it's not, Treyarch's plans to continue Outbreak beyond Cold War might end up having to be modified or even dropped. I can see a return to the area and map layout of Tranzit as being a very sure bet by Treyarch that will act as a very effective hook to get players new and old to Zombies trying out the Outbreak mode, perhaps for the first time recalling to what they may see as the glory days of Zombies back in Black Ops 2. But whether or not you believe that, it does wrap up today's video. I do want to thank you so much for watching. Hey, if you did end up enjoying it and are excited for the possibility of seeing Tranzit again, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The original Tranzit remains one of the most divisive maps in the history of COD Zombies. I would love to see it get the second chance I think it deserves in a game mode for which the map is uniquely suited. But I want to thank you again for watching, and I'll see you with another Zombies news video tomorrow. Peace.